Hey YouTube, what's up? Thanks for tuning in. Short video, hopefully, if I can do it. And in this video, I will not present a super new, super sophisticated truck to you. I will present you my eldest 1 to 24th truck, my CR-24, which I had bought already more than 3 years ago in January 2019 as Amewi AMXRock AM24, the small 1 to 24th Defender. And why do I come with this old stuff now? Well, I want to test a lot of 1 to 24th trucks, which most of them I rebuilt to stock condition in my MCCT microcrawler capability test series. You see I have here the RGT Defender, the Adventurer, more CR-24s, the ECX Barrage, and the Charisma, and more CR-24s. And I also want to compare the CR-24 or the Defenders with this slightly upgraded Defender. And I know a lot of you will then ask, what did you do with this one? And that's why I make this short video. And additionally, it's already so old, more than 3 years, even the tires and all the modifications are already done more than 2 years ago. But the light lenses I did and the interior I did only a few weeks ago. I never finished it up till now. I want to show you that it's not necessary to spend a lot of money. And I also think about this now. Man, years ago I did make custom mods. I did make custom wheel weights in this small Defender, custom foams and painting and a lot of stuff. And then the SCX-24 were released, and now there are a ton of upgrades available also for the CR-24s and the CR-18s from Hobby Plus. And it's a little bit a pity, I think. You see a lot of videos, and I buy this stuff too, where people only more or less plug and play or plug, screw, play with new stuff. I, for myself, do already have, I guess I have more than 20 different tires, or 25 or even more for my 24th and 1 to 18th trucks, and at least 10 if not more beadlock wheels out of aluminium and brass wheels, and you can buy everything. And when this one was released more than 3 years ago, there was not a lot available. It was really the first of those micro scale trucks in 1 to 24 I bought in my life. I bought it at a local shop. Guess it was more than 100 euros at this time from Amewi. They are available everywhere here, but it's the Hobby Plus CR-24, though the same truck as this one. Before this Defender, I did only have, of course, helicopters and planes and Mini C Overlands and the Basher Rockstar and the Graupner Punisher XXS, and they really, those crawlers, those micro crawlers, but there were no kind of scale crawlers available, and then those were released, and then the SCX-24 and Charisma and whatnot. In the next MCCT episode, I will not compare all those 1 to 24th, that's too much. I will compare 3 Defenders. I will compare the stock CR-24 Defender, the RGT Defender, and the modified CR-24 AMXRock. Those are sold under different names. As most of you probably know, the Hobby Plus CR-24s are sold here in Europe as Amewi AMXRock AM24, and I guess in Great Britain as FTX Outback Mini 2.0 Ranger, and the RGT 1 to 24 Defender is also sold as FTX Outback Mini Ranger 3.0. So that's the Ranger 3.0 and that's the Ranger 2.0, and it does outperform the stock trucks, of course. And I want to show you what I did now. First of all, of course, I painted the body. I painted the Lexan from outside. A lot of you will ask me what paint, what color did I use. I used the surface primer the German green brown 73606, and I guess flat clear from Vallejo also, or from Tamiya. It's already some years ago I did this. And what's for sure not performance upgrade, I made a simple interior with a driver figure, but this I did only a few weeks ago, and by far most work I made lights, and the light lenses were quite difficult, and I made those grills and light covers already 2 years ago when I bought my 3D printer and played around. That's not beautiful. At this time I thought I want to totally upgrade this one, also do turning lights and also whatever, windshield wipers and mirrors and a Lambo SRC light controller, but unfortunately only a little later the Mini C bodies were released for the Mini C 4x4, like this Defender, and I will do this one. Fits perfectly on those chassis one day with all the lights, and I simply stopped this modification in this small CR-24. You see, magnet mounts, not those ugly tiny body pins, and I still use the stock radio. You have channel 3. Don't use a light controller, and that's the thing I'm most sad about. I use in this truck the awesome and super cheap Dumbo RC ESC, which includes a light controller and also includes a low voltage beeper. You can see this here. Here's the low voltage beeper, here's the ESC, and a light controller is in the ESC, and I use one of those $10 turbo racing receivers, which also bind with the stock radio, and that's super cool. Let's compare it. I really like the Bronco CR-24. Those I bought later. Let's compare the interior to the interior of the upgraded CR-24. You see here 5-wire servo. That's the original receiver unit. I did already remove the on-off switch. I guess I burned this. That's the same as in the new ones. There's only a little bit different labeling here. The original ones out of the box only go on 1S and 5-wire servo, and here I use the turbo racing receiver, 4-channel, waterproof, and what servo? A normal Emax servo, the same we use now mostly in the SCX-24s, and of course I run it on 2S now, and that's the biggest upgrade. I also did buy the upgrade motor, the 030 torque motor from Asia Tees, but I don't really know if that's an upgrade or if it's the same motor as comes with the stock 1S CR-24s. I removed the stock bumpers and lights, and 2 years ago when I had my 3D printer new, those were my first attempts. As this one not super good, but it's okay. What I also did do, the Amewi AMXRock at that time did come with red shocks and red axle parts and red drive shafts. And you see here I do have the metal upgrade drive shafts. The original red ones, I had really problems with those because those joints out of plastic, they really are weak, and even on 1S, simply driving, those fell apart. Some people tell now that they have problems with the upgrade metal drive shafts. I never had, but I would also recommend, if you don't want to use the metal drive shafts, meanwhile there are those joints out of metal available, only about $5, and simply change those two metals and the drive shafts shouldn't fall apart. The Amewi at this time did even come with red shocks. Here there are still some of those, and the metal upgrade shocks, they are really not necessary. Those are those super expensive Hobby Plus upgrade shocks. They are really not cheap. I bought a couple of those. You can remove the red color easily with brake fluid, but they are not a big performance upgrade compared to the plastic shocks, if any performance upgrade. So I only used them here because I had them, but it's not necessary to upgrade the shocks if you don't get really good shocks. And those metal shocks, in my opinion, are not really good, but they are really expensive. Actually, at Banggood, crazy expensive. What I did do, I changed all bushings. That was the first thing I did, against ball bearings. You need quite a lot of ball bearings for those tiny trucks. You see I have a lot of bushings here. You need 8 pieces, 6 mm outer diameter, 3 mm inner diameter and 2.5 mm width, and 6 pieces, 5 mm outer diameter, 2 mm inner diameter, 2.5 mm width, 4 pieces, 8 mm outer, 4 mm inner and 3 mm width, and 2 pieces, 8 mm outer, 5 mm inner and 2.5 mm width. But the most important upgrade for this truck was the ESC, and that's such a pity that the Dumbo RC ESC is not available now anymore, and so I do this budget upgrade video a little bit too late. Here it is, the old version of the Dumbo RC 10 amp ESC, light switch, low voltage alarm. Unfortunately, it has been replaced by a new version. What is this new Dumbo RC ESC with more or less the same functions, but this is super bad in low speed control. I made review videos about both of those, and in my best ESC for microcrawler tests, the old Dumbo RC was really good. Not one of the top ESCs, but this thing was only $5. That's not much more. Mostly, recently prices have changed, but sometimes you probably will still get it for a few bucks, but it has super bad low speed modulation as the old red ESCs, the tiny ones, the cheap ones. And this one does have really nice modulation. So check this out. It's not super silent, but it does have really nice low speed modulation. And I really like this ESC, and I think it's super sad it's not available anymore. Of course, nobody knows why they changed this against that one, much larger, with such super bad low speed modulation. And of course you will probably ask, why don't you use your super ESCs from Germany? Of course, this one is much better than new awesome ASX24 crawler ESC, and also the AS126 RW, the tiny ESC I showed you in so many videos and in my best ESCs for microcrawler video. But this is, it was $5. I bought a lot of those, and this is $40, and this is $20. And for us here in Europe, the Furitech stuff for brushed, this is about $60, but then we have to pay VAT and probably shipping normally and handling fee. So if I buy a Furitech without shipping, I will pay probably nearly $80. And shipping from Vietnam is also quite expensive. I paid 20. So for one of those, you get 8 Dumbo RC, or you can't buy them anymore. And for one of those 4, and for one of those for me, you get how many is this? 16, 14, 16 Dumbo RC, and you have a light controller. So that's a real budget ESC, and I still, if you get it, not that one, buy it. If you can live with the little bit of noise, but for $5 or $7 or whatever you will pay, unbelievable, super highly recommended. If you can afford, of course, buy the ASX24 crawler, the best ESC you can buy for micro brushed motors for crawlers actually. But 8 and 1, that's a big difference. 14 or 16, and for those for one of the FuryTech, if you go brushless, of course, but if not. And then there's another ESC. You can buy an upgrade kit for the CR-24s for quite a time now, and the price is much cheaper now than it was initially, about $25 only. And you get this super nice small turbo racing ESC, of course, with correct plugs. But unfortunately, check my video, best ESCs for microcrawlers. This ESC has also super bad low speed modulation. It is waterproof, it also works with 1S, but unfortunately not really an upgrade in related to low speed modulation. It's a pity. I don't know which ESC I could recommend if you want better low speed modulation for a budget price. $20 if you know soldering, how to make a BSC. $16 if you buy a pack of 6. That would be my recommendation, but $5 of that. $10 about for the receiver. Of course, you cannot only use it with the stock radios, but also with the turbo racing radios P32, P52 with the LCD and much more capabilities, adjustabilities, but that's okay. Many people complain about those small radios. Others love them. I love them. I think they are super nice. I even have a white and a blue one, and they are perfect for kids, women, for indoors. So nothing to complain. What else did I upgrade? Today we can buy nearly everything. And also for the CR-1824 you can buy super heavy wheel weights, super expensive. I did not do it. At this time they were not available anyway. I used this golf or tennis lead strips you see in the pictures here, and made wheel weights and made custom foams. You can also use solder, those super cheap China solder you won't use for soldering anyway. At least I don't use it, but I bought some of those. Are also quite okay for wheel weights. And the wheel weights are a big upgrade, and the foams, of course. I removed the nice metal roll cage because I think that's not an upgrade, that's a downgrade because of weight. You will see it in the MCCT episode where I compare those, which one is better in climbing. And I also didn't mount the spare wheel. It's only weight, okay, I know. Then I have a driver figure and a simple, very simple interior. That's a downgrade too, of course, for performance. I did put quite a little weight in each wheel. Let's compare them. The spare wheel is without lead, without foam, and this wheel is with foam and weight. It does have 23 grams and without only 10.5 grams, so I put more than 12 grams per wheel into the truck. And we can also compare the all-in-all weight of the stock CR-24 Defender compared to my CR-24 upgraded Defender. both are ready to run. I bound both to this radio, so I should even be able to run them in parallel. Now let's weight them. The stock Defender, including 1S LiPo, does have 242 grams, and my upgraded one without roll cage and without spare does have 313 grams, so substantially heavier. Of course, the 2S does have to be much faster than the 1S. I even could run it on 3S, but I won't do it because of the drivetrain and the gears. 2S is okay, it's still not super fast. But what you see already now, it starts, they are both bound, so the Dumbo RC, even the Dumbo RC ESC starts much earlier than the stock 1S 3 in ESC from this 3-in-1. And the stock still doesn't start. Now it does start. That's full speed on 1S. That's full speed on 2S. Not a big difference, but I don't want a racer. And 3S, I have to admit I didn't try it and I don't see any need so far. And of course, it's much stronger on 2S. Come on. There is no chance for the stock one. Of course, magnets are not an upgrade. They also weight high up here. And of course, lights and all this stuff is not an upgrade. And also painting is not an upgrade. So it's not a performance crawler, for sure not. But it's a nice little crawler with much better capabilities now than it had before. Let's climb a simple step and see how they do. Those tires are already more than 3 years of age. I think the newer ones would be much stickier than those older ones, and that's quite a slippery surface, but you can really nicely climb for it. And the stock on 1S in comparison, I also made an on-off switch here. That's not me, I know. Normally I don't make on-off switches. You hear the noise? Now it starts. And it can climb. There's seems to be not a big difference here on this step now. I think because the tires of the 1S, of the much newer one, are much stickier than the tires of the 2S one, the modified one. Let's switch it on again. Let's try it on a stickier surface, if that makes a lot of difference. Otherwise I would have to exchange tires one day. I do have spare tires, you can buy all this stuff meanwhile. No, I have to admit, 1S climbing on such an easy step is at least on par with the upgraded 2S version, but it's not if it's on steeper obstacles and more difficult obstacles. You will see this in the MCC-T episode 3 with the defenders. What else to say? Nothing. I hope I said everything. Doesn't always have to be the most expensive and most sophisticated stuff to upgrade. You can also tinker. You can do your own wheel weights. You can paint your stuff. You can make your lights, and maybe that's even nicer than simply buying and mounting. And that's it for this video already. I hope it wasn't too long. I'm sure I talked too much again. But that's to answer the questions of MCC-T3 Defender, CR-24 modified, CR-24 out of the box, and RGT Defender. What did I do with this? Thanks for watching, guys. Hope to see you in the next video. I'll be back.